Hello and welcome back. So we'll continue our series on financial analysis of NASCON Allied Industries Plc. We're going to be taking a look at financial leverage ratio. We'll be looking at short-term liquidity ratio, which is the current asset alongside the quick ratio assets. Like we normally do, we're going to look at the calculation of this ratio before we move on to the interpretation of this ratio. So we still stick to our CFI Institute's report. So we have short-term liquidity ratio, we have the current ratio alongside the quick ratio. So we have the current ratio, which is basically we are comparing current assets in relation to the current liabilities. Compare current assets in relation to current liabilities. So we'll move on to our financials. So we have for 2021, which is this, equals to, go back to our financials. Where can we find our current assets? We can find that alongside the current liabilities under the balance sheet section. So we'll go down to the balance sheet. We have my current assets. So we have the total of the current asset that right here divided by the total of the current liabilities. So we have the total of that also right here. So I have enter. So I'm just going to copy this down to the right. Control R. Move on to the second one, which is our quick ratio. Our quick ratio is basically saying your current assets divided by your current liabilities, but take out the segment of your inventory, your stock. Take it out away from the composition of your current assets. So we'll go back to our Excel. So we'll move on to our quick ratio. Our quick ratio is basically saying your current assets in relation to your current liability. But when you look at your total current assets, remove the segments of your stock, your inventory. Remove that segment. Remove it away from total current liability. So I'm just going to come down to 2021 or start with a bracket because I'm going to be removing inventory from the overall current assets. Go down to my balance sheet under the current asset segment. I'm just going to take in total current assets minus the inventory segment. Then I'm going to close the bracket. Then divided by the overall total current liability, the current liability. Then I have enter. So I'm just going to copy down this to the right also. Copy that to the right also. So we have composition of our quick ratio alongside our current ratio. So like I said earlier, this is under the short-term liquidity ratio. We're basically seeing how the company is liquid, which is NASCON in this case. How liquid is NASCON? Meaning if we are to pay our short-term debts today, remember the formula is looking at short-term liquidity ratio, short-term. So we have long-term also. If you have to look at our liabilities today, can our current assets actually take care of our current liabilities? Yeah, liabilities as the obligations that the organization owns to outsiders, the owings, the debts that the organization, in this case NASCON, owns to outsiders, maybe the bank, suppliers, etc., like that. So we're looking at our current assets, which the composition of what we have here, your account receivable, your inventory, your cash, and prepaid expenses, and the likes. How can they actually take care of our current liability if those outsiders are trying to reclaim back those loans, the obligations that we are owing them? If they try to reclaim it back to them, can we actually cover it using our current liability? That's for current ratio. Same thing applies to your quick ratio. The same thing. But now we are trying to look at it from another aspect, which means how liquid it is actually. The reason why we are deducting inventory is it might take a while to actually, the meaning of inventory is basically your stock, your holdings, what the company is engaged in your day-to-day. NASCON is basically selling salt and seasonings and the like. So they are part of NASCON inventory. So it might take a while to actually sell these goods. So what the formula is now saying is, okay, remove the aspects of your inventory that it might take a while to actually dispose of. And what do we have left? So what we have left is basically the remainder of the composition of this. So remove inventory. We have left accounts receivables, cash, your bank, your prepaid expenses, and the like. So remove that and check it in relation to your current liabilities. This is something we can actually do. So the thumb rule here is 2-to-1 for current ratio and 1-to-1 for quick ratio. But there's industry benchmarking. Yeah, most times people ignore the general thumb rule and actually look at it from the aspect of the industry. When you compare those, like we have for NASCON, you compare those, compare the companies in the FMCG space and look at the industry average of what they are operating at. So you compare the overall industry benchmark against NASCON Allied Industry PLC. So that's the general practice. So we've done the interpretation of that. So we can just look at this. If we are looking at the thumb rule for quick ratio, we can see it's saying 2 to 1. So if we want to follow the thumb rule, basically, for 2021 to 2022, 2023, the company is not really doing its best to take care of its liabilities, but approximately this is kind of 2 to 1. So 2 to 1, basically, approximately, we have 2 here. Same thing applies for your quick ratio. Approximately, the general term rate is 1 to 1. So we can actually see that the company is actually performing in terms of its quick ratio. And in terms of its current ratio, there's actually improvements and performance, because overall, approximately, you're having 2 to 1 ratio. So that's the interpretation of liquidity ratio. In the next video, we're going to be taking the last one, which is the solvency ratio. Then we wrap up our analysis, our financial analysis of NASCON Allied PLC. I hope you've learned a lot up to this extent. I'm going to be dropping the remaining videos of the analysis we've done before of profitability ratio alongside the efficiency ratio. Thank you. We'll meet in the next video.